Sawridge Inns and Conference Centers continuously strives to be the hub of the community. Strong leaders and dedicated employees have always been crucial to making this goal successful. The following is just one example. On May 15, 2011, the Sawridge family had the opportunity to demonstrate their community spirit, pulling together as a team to make a difference in Slave Lake during one of the worst disasters ever to strike the town.
On May 15, 2011, a wildfire blazed out of control, forcing the community of Slave Lake to evacuate. With 200 employees and stakeholders living in the area, this crisis struck close to home. It was about 3 in the morning on May 16th when I received a call at home from Mayor Karina. She asked if we could open our hotel to house and feed the firefighters and other emergency workers. We were honored to help, and I assured her we would dispatch a small team shortly after sunrise. Within a few hours of the initial call, our Vice President Jim Hill, 2 chefs, and 4 employees began the trek to Slave Lake, which was still surrounded by fires burning out of control.
When we arrived, the situation was so much worse than what we had prepared for. However, we were able to get emergency power, and we got gas. Then drinking water was brought in. So, with all the basics in place, we got ready to welcome our guests. On early Tuesday morning, the 7 of us welcomed 250 RCMP, firefighters, and other emergency workers to breakfast. We were running on zero sleep, and we were operating a full hotel that typically was manned by over 100. After 3 sleepless days, John finally secured permission to bring in more staff. We had 3 new buffet staff, and they immediately took charge of the dining room. And by dinner that night, you'd never know that we were in the middle of a disaster. And with 4 more chefs on board, serving 1,000 meals a day had become much more manageable. 4 days in, we miraculously had running water restored. With the only hot running water in town, we soon had workers from neighboring shelters requesting showers. Like every other request, our answer was always yes. By the end of those first 2 weeks, Sawridge had become the hub and the heart of Slave Lake. Emergency workers from all over town came to rest, eat, wash, and to share information.
I usually work in the accounting office, but right after the disaster, I became an expert at making beds, cleaning rooms, serving buffet dinners, and more. We did whatever it took to make sure that the firefighters and emergency service personnel had what they needed so that they were able to do their jobs. Their working hours were as long as ours, and you could see that they were tired. But you could also see that they were very thankful. That's Sawridge. That's what we do.
At the Sawridge in Edmonton South, evacuees, both employees and stakeholders, had begun arriving from Slave Lake at 3 a.m. that first morning. We worked non-stop to see that the evacuees were provided for. One of our first priorities was setting up a 24-hour info center, which would provide updates on the disaster, insurance information, and immediate personal needs. We also appealed to our corporate and community contacts requesting donations for everything from personal amenities to pet supplies. With Sawridge acting as a temporary home for entire families, providing kids entertainment was also important. We set up an activity center and even arranged for children to attend school.
I would like to take this moment to express my gratitude to the Sawridge Corporation for all that you have done for my family and I during the evacuation of our town. Driving out of Slave Lake on that Sunday night was one of the worst moments of my life. Thank you, Sawridge, for being there. Sincerely, Amanda.
Another priority was finding missing Slave Lake staff. Many were staying in evacuation centers. We wanted to keep the Sawridge team together and give them the support we could. Between calling cell phones, sending emails, and posting on Facebook, we were able to offer assistance and comfort them. One of the biggest forms of comfort was advising each employee we would continue to pay them even though they were not working. When the crisis was finally over, many Slave Lake businesses couldn't reopen. A lot of their evacuated staff never returned to Slave Lake. We didn't have this problem. The majority of our staff returned to Slave Lake and came back to work. We are deeply rooted in the community, striving to provide heart and soul wherever we are. This experience reaffirmed this deep commitment in both Sawridge executives and staff. We're fortunate to have such dedicated employees.
When John asked for volunteers, I didn't hesitate to step up. I felt for the community of Slave Lake and wanted to help in any way I could. I didn't expect anything in return, but Sawridge paid us in full. It's just one example of what a great company I work for.